right. And again, before Nick starts in here, and yes, Brad Stevens will be fired before the end of the show. That's a certainty with Nick on here. And before Nick starts in here, I will say that to me is a true failure of preparedness and focus and whatever you want to put it, whether you put it on the coach or all the players in this case. Because I got a target for today. It's not Stevens, and we'll get to it in a little bit, but it was a disgraceful effort, start to finish. So since Nick, we'll give Nick first bite at the apple here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just say it for me. No, it was a gutless. It sums up what I have felt this entire season has been, and I don't have anything else to say. I mean, Tatum no show. Oh boy, I'm not apologizing.
No,
everybody
man.
should have
not
an apology
apology.
for Marcus Smart because he's the only guy with the heart and a pulse, and he was back in Boston or he was on the bench injured because let him shoot because at least he shows up every game. Jayson Tatum, probably the worst game of his career. No heart, no passion, gutless. Not a Celtics team.
Jimmy?
That's my negativity, John.
I have to, unfortunately, echo what Nick's saying right now. I don't think I come on this show and just bash the Celtics every single episode. So when I actually –
Neither do I.
No, I don't think you do. I think I'm pretty fair. I'll praise them when they do well. I criticize them when they don't. They deserve every bit of bashing today. I mean, this was a pathetic performance. I mean, you could argue that Jayson Tatum shouldn't have even came out in the second half. They should have just kept him in the locker room, honestly.
Not only for preservation, Jimmy, this might have been a moment to send a little message. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
It's obvious you don't want to play today, Jayson. It's obvious you're not into this game. It was everything. It was on defense, standing around, the switches, the shot choices, the lazy, all of those fouls, so lazy. The last offensive foul he got, same thing. He's like, I don't have the energy to put on a move here, so I'm just going to lower my shoulder and hope it doesn't get called. Every single aspect of his game was absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
Slow, like he didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
Right. I think what pissed me off the most, too, was the laziness and the passing. It's like, come on, Celtics. Again, so many impressive stretches throughout the last two games where they were looking so cohesive and you saw the passing. Obviously, 2 games ago was the best example of that. But we're seeing them go back, revert to this pattern of pass, stand around, pass, stand around. And Tatum, you were the one that was keeping this thing going. Like, you were the reason why so many open looks were there for Shemi Ojale, why Shemi and Pritchard broke a record, a couple nights ago at TD Garden or a few nights ago at TD Garden. You're the reason that happens. Listen, if you're not going to be able to be scoring, Celtics fans need 8, 9, 10 assists out of you easily on a night like this. You had 4 assists, but they were ugly, right? So many ugly passes, a lot of turnovers.
As a team, guys, I mean, and I know the final stats are a little better, but and again, I want to pull it up here, but it was something like, let me see the final numbers here. It was something along the lines of, I think, like early into the fourth quarter, they were 7 assists and 16 turnovers. This was in the fourth quarter by the time it was, you're basically about to embark on taco time. And that number got padded near the end, so they ended up 14-17. So, but that's where that game was. That's still a
because
gross.
Taco.
That's a gross.
They had 10 turnovers by halftime. I mean,
that's terrible assist to turnover ratio.
I would say one bright spot, but it isn't, would be Kemba Walker. But all his points came from the 3-point line again. He is
you got
to blend both things.
He had a ton of drives this game.
That's easily the brightest spot.
This was his first. That was actually this was his first game where he actually did some damage to the basket.
Yeah, that spot is actually it's actually brighter than your background.
Field on the box score.
It's a brighter spot actually.
Yeah, I mean, he was I was gonna jokingly put the 2-point field goal percentage in again tonight, just for you guys to see it. But 9 of 18, but 4 of 7 from 3. But that means he made 5 buckets in close, which isn't bad considering he hadn't been doing that. His blocked shot rate was just through the roof. Who sent the stat around the other day where it like historic levels of the amount of shots he's having being blocked?
That was something going around on Twitter. Yeah, he's being blocked.
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't one of us, but it was something
twice
Had
on
to be a
Twitter.
Bobby,
Something.
but listen, I take that back. I was looking at the wrong field. Kemba was the lone bright spot tonight, and hopefully they can build off that. And as far as Josue goes, he said it perfectly. Jayson Tatum will not be a superstar until he figures out how to do other things when he can't score. He can't. I I have no knowledge of this, but it almost looked like were all crying in a fight before the game. They all were moping around. The body language was terrible. Jayson
So,
Tatum, you got to dole out assists and grab rebounds.
so
Yeah,
Can't
that's a good
score.
point, guys.
I don't
Is
know
this
if you guys.
are we going to continue to say it's just because they're playing early, these matinee starts, or is there something to it here? You know, to what Nick's saying.
Oh, come on.
Well, this is the thing. Is like before the game, Brad Stevens spoke to reporters, and I just was looking at his quotes on Twitter, and he said something about how their internal body clock is way off or it's out of whack and all this stuff. It's almost like he knew going into this game that they were going to put it together a shit effort today. But like, how can you let that happen? Like, how can you give that excuse? Oh, our internal body clock is off. Like, come on, this is the NBA. Everyone's playing the same schedule. Everyone's back-to-backs and flying in this place and that place and dealing with COVID, and everyone's dealing with the same shit. So don't give your players an excuse to just play that type of.
Well, they all
game
have
today.
they all have that same excuse, and so everybody.
So it's not an excuse.
I'm saying yes. That's what I'm saying is you can't use it because everyone else does. The only option at this point would be more load management to keep guys fresh, both mentally and physically, which you don't have the luxury of doing because this roster basically has 3 NBA players on it. So you got to pick and choose your spots. They're 13-13 now. You could have ended up with this record right now if you decided to strategically sit some of your best players here and there for getting better efforts in games where you've lost to the Pistons twice and the Wizards once right now. You know, like, I mean, come on, guys. You know, cash in the Lakers game. You know,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
do
If
something like that.
we're switching it off, right?
John, it's like this. Sorry.
Go.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say
Nick.
it's like this. They've not
Nick,
earned
go right now.
anything to be able to not show. They've all earned. Oh boy, somebody called me in the middle of that. Sorry. They've not earned yet the right to not show up for slow games or for down games or bottom feeder games. Like, I don't think that's ever. But like, you know, good teams do that occasionally. It's hard to get up for that game. This is a bad team.
They're not good.
They're bad, right? So they need to like go and kick the balls off of Washington and Detroit and these pathetic puddle teams. Like, no heart.
Nick is trying so hard not to criticize Brad right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's discipline. I told him beforehand, I don't want this to be a bitch fest between you and Jimmy about Brad. But we'll get there.
We'll get there. Yeah, it's gonna get there. The conversation
deserves criticism today. I agree completely. I mean,
but
where do you want to start?
Yeah, right.
I mean, again, I think I did start it off. I mean, I think he set the stage for a shitty performance this afternoon. You know, telling reporters that their internal body clocks are all out of whack. It's like, cry me a river, guys. Like, get out there and play the damn game. It's 48 minutes. You know, half the guys are, you know, missing time anyways for various reasons. So just put it together. You know, I mean,
can I say one thing before we launch into it fully?
Yeah, of course.
Just in defense of what's going to come Brad's way and what's already coming in the chats here, I will say one thing. Okay, the thing with Brad Stevens is he's supposed to have the ability to coach underachievers and underdogs. This is
correct.
Okay, so that's. I don't know if you're going to say Brad's failing at the thing he's supposed to be good at, or it's indicative of just how poor this roster is. And again, I know in Celtics world, we get stuck in these ridiculous, like, ebbs and flows where we're talking about Semi Ojeley's legit. Look at him. He's a real contributor. And like, I just don't think we look at it with the same eyes that like anybody on the outside looking in sees. And they see a roster that is filled with guys who are more like 8, 9, 10 back end of your rotation players than they are possible, you know, starters or 25-minute a game guys. Like, every team has 2 Semi Ojeleys, okay? And they don't play them very often. Even the bad teams. Like, everyone's got these guys. They're
Well,
all
the
over.
Bobbies of the world. The Bobbies of the world put these guys up on a pedestal that they don't belong on.
Yes.
The
He's not
nerds,
here right
the
now
nerds.
to defend himself, but
They're
They're
roster
nerds.
filler, these guys, okay? They're usually guys who fill out the back end of your roster, but here they're 5 through 8 rotation style players, or because that's just what you've got. Slash starting every once in a while. You're starting Grant Williams and Semi Ojeleye. These guys are back end of the roster
John,
players.